In the rotation.
Charge! All right, Jenks, let's start off in the Lone Star State where the Astros are taking on the Rangers. Astros home favorites here, minus 200. Rangers plus 120, plus 165, I should say. And the Astros have been absolutely dominant at home against the Rangers. They have won their last 10 games in a row against Texas. So, Jenks, we're looking at Glenn Otto here pitching against Framber Valdez of the Astros. Do you have a play you like here?
I like the Astros run line at minus 105. Framber Valdez has allowed just 6 earned runs in his last 4 outings. He continues to get better and better. He's already faced Texas once this season, gave up a single run in 6 innings. Glenn Otto has not had a single quality start this season. Now he has to face an Astros team that has won 8 straight at home. They're raking right now. Astros run line is minus 105. That is my play on this game. What do you think?
That looks like the obvious play, right? But I will say
so.
the Rangers have played the Astros pretty well. Despite losing 3 of 4 already this season, they covered the run line in 3 of 4 games. So a lot of these games have been close. However, I think you're right about Glenn Otto. I think he gets touched up a bit by this Astros lineup that I know that they've been a little up and down lately. They lost some games to the Red Sox, but Nick Pivetta, my goodness, a complete game. Not a shutout, but he did only give up 1 run in the last game against the Astros. But the Astros are a team that don't strike out a ton. I think I would look at a strikeout under for Glenn Otto, just because if you think a guy's going to give up a lot of runs, usually a strikeout play to the under is the way to go, just because you don't think that guy's going to last deep in the game. So looking at Glenn Otto's strikeout prop, 4.5 juice to the under, minus 136. He's hit this number in 2 of 4 games this year, had 5 against the Astros in his first start, but I think it is a little different when you're facing the same lineup for the second time this season. I think the Astros are a little bit better this time around. So I'd take a look at Glenn Otto and his strikeout prop under 4.5 for minus 136.
Okay, I'm with you on that one, Chelsea. Let's do it.
All right, let's move on to the Mariners and the Red Sox. Mariners plus 110 here. Red Sox minus 135. I was talking about Nick Pivetta going the distance in the Red Sox last win. And looking at the pitchers here, George Kirby of Seattle, 0-0 this year with a .9 ERA, going against old man Rich Hill, the lefty, 1-1 this season with a 2.89 ERA. Jenks, what do we think?
What do I think here? Let me look at my notes. You know what? I like the Red Sox here, minus 135. I'm not crazy about this bet. I'm not going to play it, but it would be my lean because you do have a proven commodity in Rich Hill. In his career against Seattle, he's 4-0 with a 2.64 ERA. And when you look at George Kirby, yeah, he's been pretty good thus far for the Mariners, but he's only pitched 10 innings, and the Mariners are 5-15 in their last 20 games on the road. I don't really like trusting either of these teams, but Boston is the team I trust more with the more experienced pitchers. So Sox minus 135 is probably my lead.
I think I like that play too. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Both these teams are completely untrustworthy. The Red Sox are usually overvalued, but, the Mariners have not been great either. Their win total was close to the Yankees. I think their win total was 91 this year. So a team that was supposed to be good, and they are not. They have a losing record, I believe. So looking at the Mariners as underdogs this year, just 9-16. I will say the Red Sox are only 7-9 as favorites this year, but the fact that they got a complete game from Nick Pivetta last night was huge because now they'll have their best relievers available. And I know that's kind of, what's that word where it's, I can't think of the word, but best reliever on the Red Sox doesn't mean a whole lot just because their bullpen has been terrible.
Right.
But there's been a few guys who are at least decent. So I think that spells Red Sox for me in that game. Let's go on to the Padres and the Phillies. Padres even money here. Phillies minus 120. Over under set at 8 runs. Yu Darvish going against Kyle Gibson and a good pitching matchup. Although I will say Yu Darvish has not been dominant this season. He is 3-1, but has a 4.62 ERA. Kyle Gibson comes in with the same win-loss record, but a 4.10 ERA. Jenks, who do you like?
Ooh, I am going to go with the Phillies at minus 120. I expect Bryce Harper to be back in the lineup here. And before he took a couple days off to have that elbow treated, he was absolutely just smashing the ball against the Dodgers. Yu Darvish has been okay this season, but he was roughed up in his last start, and the Phillies simply have a better lineup here. They hit for power. We know that. Joe Giglio just said it. They can out-hit you. I think this is a cheap price on Philly, so I'll grab them on the money line.
I think I'd look at a total here and maybe look at an over, because at some point we're going to see the Philly bats come back to life, because the last 2 games between these two have ended with a total of 3 runs. I think eventually we see the bats come alive. Kyle Gibson is definitely hittable for the Padres. And like we said, Yu Darvish has been human this year when he's not facing a team that is the Dodgers. For some reason, he has matched well against the Dodgers. So I think these Philly bats come alive a little. And plus, you get the added bonus of maybe getting some runs from that Philly bullpen, who has been absolutely terrible this season. So I think a total of 8. I think that's a nice play for the over. Well, to hear the best segments from our show, either listen for 3 straight hours beginning at 6 Eastern, or subscribe and follow the podcast. Listen to the Daily Tip in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. This is the Daily Tip presented by BetMGM. I'm Chelsa Messenger. He's Michael Jenkins. Postseason hockey is still going, and we've had some exciting games so far. So, Jenks, let's dive into it. We're going to give you 60 seconds to talk about the NHL.
1 minute minor.
As in honor of Chelsa, I call this my Dippin' Dots lock of the day. Let's head to Sunrise, Florida, where the Panthers are hosting the Lightning. Game 2 of their playoff series. Tampa plus 125 on the money line. Florida minus 155. Total set 6 and a hook. What is there to do in Sunrise? How about visiting the VF outlet, where you can always find a great selection of men's and women's clothes at reasonable prices during these inflationary times. And I'll pay for my new shirt that doesn't quite fit me by winning money on the home team. Florida was the best team in the Eastern Conference all season. They should bounce back tonight with Anthony Duclair and Jonathan Huberdeau leading the charge. Panthers were in this spot in the previous series against the Caps. What happened? They lost game 1, took care of business in game 2. That is what is going to happen tonight. It is a little juicy. I get that. I still like the value. Panthers minus 155 on the money line at BetMGM. Let's get back in the saddle and ride and have some Dippin' Dots when we cash. Whoa, I was way early on that one.
That's what you get for hating on Dippin' Dots. Jenks, it's the karma that'll get you. So that's a lesson learned. Never hate on Dippin' Dots. That's a Chelsea guarantee.